Today, I'd like to share a story of an experience that I had many years ago in the corporate world, almost over 4 decades. And it was such an amazing experience that it actually changed the way I began to think and react as a leader. Welcome back to the musings of an old maverick. Welcome back to the archives of my life. This incident that I'm going to narrate to you happened many years back. In fact, I've spent 4 decades in the corporate world, and this would have been the first half of the first decade, 5 or 6 years into my foray in the corporate world. And I had just been promoted to the post of a territory manager. Now, this is what happens when you move from an executive level to a manager's post. Your ego kicks up. And it's pretty normal because you know what? There's no experience. We are inexperienced. And I think everyone who moves up from the level of an executive to becoming a manager has a tendency to suddenly walk around with a lot of airs and graces. And well, yours truly was doing the same. And there was in my team one Sikh Sardar, his name was Gurpreet Singh, and as executives, we used to always cross a lot of swords. But as now the newbie manager, there's no question of anyone crossing swords with me. That was the, heightened ridiculousness that I had got my mind into. It was like, it's either my way or the highway. Do what you want. So 6 months down the line, Gurpreet and I were not really having a very happy relationship, and I thought to myself, it's about time, I sacked him. Because he was such a big tension to me. So I called him up into my room and I said, well, Gurpreet is like this. It's about time we both parted ways. So he said, why? What's wrong? So I said, look, these are your faults. And so I just numbered down all his faults. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. And I was, really enjoying it. And he very quietly listened. And then after I'd finished, he said, I don't know between you and me, who's the bigger fool? Now imagine, I'm this newbie manager and you tell me that. Jeez. So I said, what the hell do you mean by saying that? But he stood his ground and he said, no, I'm being very, very honest about my thought. Who is the bigger fool? You or me? So I said, okay, who is it? He said, I think it is you. I said, what do you mean? And he said, it took you 6 months to arrive at a conclusion that I was not good enough for this job. What were you doing when you were observing for 6 months? That awakened something inside me. I looked at him and I said, what an amazing statement. Yes. What was I doing in the last 6 months? I mean, if I was so good, obviously I must have been because I got promoted. But if I was really so good, how come I didn't do anything to build up his efficiency? I went back home that night. The next morning, I came back with an absolutely reformed and re-engineered mindset. Gurpreet and I worked for the next 4 years together, and we created numerous amount of milestones. with our team. Guess what I actually learned? There were three things that I learned that day, having spent with Gurpreet, contemplating deeply throughout the night. The first most important thing that I learned was never ever underestimate the efficiency of a dedicated person. And that's true. When a person is dedicated and he is still around, it means there is definitely a very refined amount of efficiency within the person. And it's only when you connect with that efficiency will you be able to sync and synchronize with it and pave amazing way forwards together. And this is just not only professionally, even in my personal life. When I look at dedicated people, I connect with great depth and passion. Because I know one thing. One dedicated person can go a long way. Two dedicated people can reach amazing levels. And the road, the path in front will always be infinite. The second thing I learned was, you know what? Here's the thing. There are no bad children, only terrible parents. There are no bad students, only inefficient teachers. And there are no bad executives, only dumb-headed managers and leaders. And that is true. Because as a leader, we need to take on the responsibility of our team and everything that happens in it. In a personal level, as a human being, we need to take on the responsibility and face every one of those that have been created around us as we progress in life. We take the responsibility. We don't say it didn't happen because of Mr. A, Miss B, Mr. C, or Miss D. It didn't happen because we didn't take it seriously. And the third one, which is the most interesting one, it is all about perception. Believe me, it's all about perception. And let me read out one beautiful poem by Melody Hill, which proves what I'm saying. And the poem is, where you see scars, I see art. Where you see flaws, I see incredible beauty. Where you see failures, I see knowledge and growth. Everything is perception. You see with your eyes, and I see with my soul. That's the way you rock, and this is the way I roll. This poem says it all. So here you are, Anand, Nair. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me again today. I hope you really enjoyed this particular video. It's an experience that stems deep from the bottom of my heart. Have a wonderful day. Until we meet again, stay inspired. Always. See you soon.